So you've been thinking about making a move, right? Maybe somewhere quieter, somewhere that gives you a little bit more breathing room, but still has that modern comfort. Well, Thomasville, North Carolina might just be the spot. And today, I want to have a real conversation about what it actually costs to live here. I'm talking real numbers, the feel of the town, and whether this could be a smart move for someone like you. My name is Keon Shoulars with Real Broker LLC. I live here, I work here, I help people buy and sell homes right here in the Triad. And I'm not just trying to sell you a dream. I'm here to give you the full picture so you can make the right decision for you and your family. So whether you're making a move in 9 days or 9 months, feel free to reach out. I'm receiving calls and texts every single day and I love it. My contact information is in the description box and I'm easy to reach. Now when people first hear about Thomasville, they usually think one of two things. That big chair in the middle of downtown and the idea of how affordable it is. And yeah, it is. But affordability doesn't mean you're giving up on comfort. It's more like your dollar just stretches a lot further here. If you're coming from a big city, the cost difference is going to blow your mind a little bit. I've had clients to come here and say, wait, I can get this much house for under $300,000? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. The housing market is one of the biggest reasons that people fall in love with Thomasville. The average home price is right around $250,000, give or take depending on the area and the condition of the home. To put that in perspective, that's often half, sometimes even a third of what you'll pay in a big metro for something similar. And these aren't tiny houses stacked on top of each other. We're talking nice yards, porches, space between the neighbors, that kind of old school community layout that just feels good. And the great thing is, it's not cheap because it's run down or neglected. Thomasville has been revitalizing over the last decade. You've got newer developments, some beautiful older homes with character, and access to all the basics you actually need. Greensboro and Winston-Salem are both within a half hour, so if you ever need that city buzz, nice restaurants, professional networking, airports, it's all right there. But you still get to come home to peace and quiet, and way less traffic. Now let's talk about the other stuff that eats up your budget. Utilities, groceries, and day-to-day living. The utilities here, they tend to be lower than the national average. Nothing crazy, but noticeable. If you've been paying those big city power bills, you'll probably appreciate that. Most people around here see electric, water, sewer, and internet all together landing somewhere between $300 and $500 a month. And it depends on your home size and how much you love to run that AC in the summer. And speaking of the summer, yeah, it gets warm, but not unbearably so. And the winters are mild. So you're not gonna spend a fortune heating a house like you might up north. Groceries are pretty normal, maybe slightly cheaper than the national average. We're not talking massive differences. Milk, eggs, bread, produce, they're all within a few bucks of what you're used to. But because your bigger expenses, like housing and utilities, are lower, it all balances out in your favor. Dining out is reasonable too. You can grab a really solid meal for under 20 bucks, and there are some local spots that'll surprise you. Downtown Thomasville has been growing a bit. More cafes, local eateries, breweries, and the best part is, it's still small enough that people will remember your name. One thing that people don't always think about when they're relocating is transportation. And here's where living in a small town really pays off. The average commute in Thomasville is about 20 minutes. That's it. And it's usually 20 minutes without stop and go traffic that'll make you question your life choices. Gas prices in North Carolina tend to run a little bit lower than the national average as well. And you're not driving long distances to get everywhere. That means your car lasts longer, your insurance might even drop, and you just save time. Now, honestly, time is money. I'll take that 20-minute commute over a 50-minute one any day of the week. Now, I do want to mention healthcare because it's one of those categories that's not necessarily cheaper here. In fact, healthcare tends to run a bit higher than the national average in Thomasville. It's not crazy high, but it's worth factoring in. You've got good medical facilities nearby. Thomasville Medical Center, plus access to hospitals in High Point, Greensboro, and Winston-Salem. But depending on your insurance and what specialists you need, you might pay a bit more or have to travel a little for certain things. Taxes are another bright spot. especially if you're paying higher property taxes in other states. The average property tax bill here is under $2,000 a year. Yep, a year. That's a breath of fresh air if you're paying $5 to $6 grand annually elsewhere. North Carolina does have a state income tax, but overall, the tax burden here is pretty reasonable. You'll feel the difference, especially if you're moving from a place like New Jersey, New York, or California. So let's say you're thinking about relocating. Maybe you're working remotely now, or you have the flexibility to live anywhere you actually want to. You can buy a really nice home here. Something with space, privacy, maybe even land. And your total monthly cost might land you around $5,000 to $6,000, all in. That's including your mortgage, utilities, groceries, gas, insurance, the works. For comparison, in a higher cost area, that might barely cover your rent or mortgage alone. What that does is free up your financial breathing room. You can invest more, save more, travel more, or just enjoy life more. Maybe you can finally get that office you've been dreaming of, or that backyard setup for entertaining. And the slower pace, man, that's something you can't really put a price on. People here still wave at you when you drive by. The community feels tight-knit, but not intrusive. It's laid back, but not sleepy. And don't think for a second that living in smaller towns means giving up culture or convenience. You've got Winston-Salem and Greensboro close by, which means restaurants, airports, concerts, shopping, all of that within reach. But you don't have to live in the middle of the chaos. You get to pick and choose when to dip into that energy. It's like having the best of both worlds. If you've got kids, schools are solid, and there are good options depending on what part of town you're in. If you don't have kids, it still matters. Good school districts help property values stay strong. And that's something I always tell my clients. Even if you're not thinking about resale right now, it's good to buy in a community that holds its value. Now I get this question sometimes. What's the catch? And honestly, there really isn't one. Unless you're someone who needs that big city pace every single day. Thomasville is not a nightlife hub. It's not where you go for massive entertainment options. But if you like community events, quiet weekends, and being within an easy drive to larger cities when you need that excitement, you'll love it here. And that's the thing. When you factor in not just the dollars, but the lifestyle value, Thomasville wins. You've got lower stress, friendlier people, and more balance. And if you're at a point in your life or career where you can choose where you can live based on the quality of life instead of just the proximity to work, this is a move that makes sense on so many levels. Now obviously, cost of living is personal. It depends on how you live, what you value, and what kind of home you want. But the consistent theme I heard from people that move here is this. They can afford more comfort, more peace, and more financial flexibility. And that's not just attractive, it's smart. Especially with how unpredictable the economy has been lately. Locking in on a lower cost of living without sacrificing lifestyle is one of the smartest moves you can make. So if you're even remotely curious about what your money could get you here, reach out, call, or text me. I'll walk you through what's available, what different neighborhoods cost, and what life can look like for you here. No pressure, just good info and honest conversation. I love helping people find that perfect balance between comfort, affordability, and lifestyle. And Thomasville really checks those boxes. So yeah, that's Thomasville. Affordable, comfortable, grounded, and growing. It's a place where you can live well without overextending yourself. If that sounds like something that you've been craving, reach out and let's talk. You might just find that this little corner of North Carolina feels exactly where you're meant to be. And if this video helped you out, even a little bit, tap that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because I'm gonna keep showing up with content that helps people just like you become confident, educated homeowners. I've got more deep dives coming, whether you're buying, selling, or just learning. And make sure you watch this video, as it will help you with your home search. And when you're ready to make that move, just remember, Keon has the keys. I'll see you in the next one.